This is part two about the Dark Ages. It's during these years where we see the development of a common Greek culture and identity. I'm going to cover a couple of aspects of this common culture and identity now. One of them is a competitive spirit. So we know that Greek geography, you have a lot of mountains, you have a lot of sea bays. It doesn't lend itself to unification. And so for the Greeks, Greek culture is going to emphasize independence and individuality. And so we have the development of festivals like the Olympic Games that are founded on individual competition. And so this is a key component of Greek society. So this idea of individuality or independence. Another key area is the area of excellence. Greeks were all expected to achieve excellence, or in Greek the word was arete, in some field of life. Now that could be fighting, that could be farming, that could be poetry, that could be literature, but all are expected to achieve excellence. So we've got this competitive, individualistic component, and we also have the striving for excellence. I'm going to want to move on now to the next slide. Another common trait in Greek culture was sharing the same religious practices. So it's during this period that we see the 12 Olympian gods emerge. So even though there's this sense of individuality about Greek culture, there are also some things they have in common. And sharing the same 12 main gods based on Olympus, I've listed some of them here in the slide. That was one way, something that the Greeks held in common. Now, these gods are anthropomorphic. They have human shapes, human physiques, human behaviors, friendships, animosities, rivalries. They are just like humans, but they are more powerful. So there's no sense that this sort of Christian God that's all powerful and totally immaterial and all good, or a devil figure that's all bad. The gods are kind of very human, and a mixture of these different human capabilities, although they also have these superpowers and they're also immortal. And the humans and the gods interact according to these myths. The gods come down to earth, they have affairs with women, human women. The goddesses have affairs with human men, and they give their parents of demigods like Hercules. By the Dark Ages, though, the Greeks no longer considered that the gods still walked the earth among them. And so there's been a sense of separation between the gods and the humans. There's this sense that the gods are not micromanagers. They had prepared a world, they had built a world, and now they left it for the individual Greeks to best try and achieve their fortune. Another interesting distinction between the Greeks and the other cultures that we've looked so far is we don't have the massive temples and the massive rituals that we're used to having in Babylonian or Mesopotamian or Egyptian societies. Instead, the gods were worshipped in sacred spaces that were often groves of trees that were much smaller than your typical Middle Eastern temple. The priests were officials of the city, but they were not the rulers of the city. So again, you have this separation of church and state. So that's kind of the overview of religion during the Dark Ages. You have these common gods. They're anthropomorphic, but considered removed and not directly involved in human life. The rituals that are offered up to them are on a much smaller scale, and the practice of religion is much more separated from the politics of the state than we've seen in other societies around the Mediterranean. No written literature survives from the Dark Ages, but this was still an important time of composition of oral literature. So stories about the myths of the gods, the legends of the Trojan Wars, all of these were originated during this period and were handed down orally, and it would not be until a later age when they were written down for the first time. But this marks the development, the beginnings of Greek literature. That's all I'm going to say about the Dark Age. We're going to talk about the Archaic Age in the next video.